So, who's ready for Christmas then? No, me neither. What a year 2020 has been. But what's in a year? Different people and organisations mark a year from and to different months. The calendar year from January to December is obvious. The tax year from the 5th of April to the 4th of April will be ingrained in many of us as well. A member of my family works for a business whose annual leave year runs from September to August. And that's before we start thinking in terms of the year in various sporting calendars. But I wonder, did you know that traditionally the Christian church has always begun its new year on Advent Sunday? Advent Sunday always falls on the 4th Sunday before Christmas. And because the calendar date of Christmas Day changes from year to year, so does the date of Advent Sunday. This year, 2020, Advent begins and the new church year begins on Sunday the 29th of November. More than ever, I am happy to herald a new year with the hope and expectation that it will be better than the last. The Church of England's website explains that Advent is a season of expectation and preparation, as the Church prepares to celebrate the coming, in Latin Adventus, of Christ in his incarnation. Incarnation means God becoming flesh, one with us, one of us. In fact, there are 3 Advent meanings of God coming as one with us. The first and most thought of happened about 2,000 years ago, when Jesus came into the world as a baby to live as a human being, to experience life as we do, and to die for us. The second can happen every day, even right here and now, as Jesus comes to live in our hearts and fill us with the love of God. And the third will happen in the future, perhaps better understood as happening outside of time, when he appears again not as a baby, but as King and Judge. The Advent readings and services not only direct us towards Christ's birth, but they also challenge our modern reluctance to confront the theme of divine judgment and then to amend our present lives as a result. If all that sounds a little serious and not very jingle bells all the way, judgment in Christian theology actually points to salvation, as by his crucifixion and resurrection, Christ does away with all evil. So we and all creation, turning to Christ, are saved from the worst of ourselves and drawn forever into the divine love. What ancient tradition has labelled the 4 last things, death, judgment, heaven and hell, are traditional themes for Advent meditation. But they're about humanity coming from God and returning to God through God's great and loving purposes. And this means that Advent is more about expectation than penitence, unlike Lent. The anticipation of Christmas under commercial pressure has made it harder to sustain the appropriate sense of alert watchfulness. But the fundamental Advent prayer remains, Maranatha, O Lord, come. Advent calendars, like this year's St. John's online Advent calendar, help us to count down and so to build up those expectations. Of course, in the Northern Hemisphere, the Advent season falls at the darkest time of year, and the natural symbols of darkness and light are powerfully at work throughout Advent and Christmas. The lighting of candles on an Advent wreath was imported into Britain from Northern Europe in the 19th century and is now a common practice. And the last days of Advent were marked by the sequence of great O antiphons, which continue to inspire modern Advent hymns and meditations. It is those great O antiphons which are at the heart of our online service for Advent Sunday 2020. I hope you will enjoy watching or listening to it and responding to God's purposes in awe and wonder as you do so. The introduction to the service sheet, which you can download from our website, or which will have been given to you with your CD, offers some more detail on the great O antiphons, which I hope will enrich your encounter with God this Advent. So, as Advent begins, we move into Advent, my last as vicar here. I pray that we will all make the most of a rich and meaningful season before, finally, at last, after 2020 and all that it's had, Christmas is celebrated as best we all can. So, looking forward to a new year? Maranatha, come, Lord Jesus.